I'm working on getting Pico de Gallo together. We're going to be having tacos later, and so it's always nice to have some fresh pico to go with it. I have some Roma tomatoes, and I need 1.5 cups of these. So what I'm doing is I've washed them really well, and I took the core out, and now I'm getting all the seeds out. And then I will dice these up finely and add them to my bowl. I've already done a cup's worth, so I need this last 1/2 cup. And I'm doing this quite a bit of time before I actually plan to have dinner. So it's probably about 2.5 hours right now before I plan to serve dinner. So I'm doing that because I want all these flavors to have time to do some melding and marrying. And the key with Pico de Gallo and really any fresh salsa is that you want to serve it room temperature. So when I'm done putting all these ingredients together, I'm not going to stick it in the fridge. I'm going to leave it on the counter and let it warm up. So it looks like I'm going to need a little bit more tomato. So I take my Roma tomato, and you can use any kind of tomato, but I find that Romas work the best because they have more actual tomato meat and less seeds and other things to worry with. I might get by with just half of this tomato, we will see. So we want really thin slices. Make sure you have a very sharp knife. Romas are one of those tomato varieties that have a tougher skin. So if your knife is dull, you're just going to crush your tomato instead of actually being able to slice it. And I know a lot of people get scared of those super sharp knives, but they actually are safer because of the fact that you're not having to put so much force behind it. And so you're chopping easier. And if you do happen to slip, it shouldn't be as bad of an injury, or hopefully you'll be cutting so gently that you'll be able to catch it before it's bad. Alright, so I think that's going to be enough for what we need. Let's see. Yeah, that looks like 1/2 cup there. So we'll get this 1/2 cup added to my cup that's already in there. Next thing I'm going to do is juice my limes. So I have 2 limes here, and they smell amazing. Take my little juicer, and I'm looking for about 1.5 tablespoons of lime juice. These are super hard limes, so I'm actually going to grab my other juicer, and this will work better. Might get lime juice all over my kitchen, but I'll bring my bowl up. I think I'm only going to need 1.5 limes. I don't think this is going to take 2. And if you have something like a garbage disposal in your sink, if you'll put these limes through your garbage disposal when you're finished with them, you'll give it a nice cleaning and refreshing. Okay, so there's 1.5 tablespoons of lime juice. Get those out of my way. I also need 1/4 cup of diced onion, and I keep this in the freezer. I chop a bunch at once and keep them in the freezer so they're already ready to go. Add them to my bowl as well. Then I need some cilantro, and take all the leaves off. Put your stems in a separate pile. Sorry about the jet flying over. Military base must be doing some practicing. Okay. So pick all your leaves off. Oh, and make sure you washed your cilantro really well before you did this. And this is to taste. I'm going to use probably about 1/4 cup of cilantro, which is probably 5 sprigs, maybe 4. And then, once I have all the stems taken off, I'm going to take and rip these up. And the reason I'm not using my knife is because a lot of times you just bruise your cilantro when you do that, and you don't actually end up making it smaller. And I just don't care for that. I also don't like the look of all of the slice marks on the cilantro, and that also tends to blacken and then brown as your pico ages. So if you put this in the fridge and want to use it tomorrow, that cilantro is going to be unappetizing looking, at least for me. So rip this up. Have some natural perfume on your hands. You will smell like cilantro for a good while if you do it this way. This actually is a little safer if you're someone who's not comfortable with knives. This is a little bit safer for you as well because you're able to keep your fingers away from a blade. It's all stuck to me. I'll do these last little bits. And then for the stems, I am going to chop them, and they're great. Don't leave them out. Just make sure you dice them really finely. And as this sits and melds, these little stems are just going to disintegrate, and they're going to be great. Alright, so we'll get those in as well. And next thing is to cut and seed our jalapeno. So this recipe calls for 1 whole jalapeno. I'm a bit of a wuss, so I'm going to be using half of jalapeno. And I'm going to seed it and get a lot of that white bit off, because that's where a lot of the heat is stored. Unfortunately, the seeds are where a lot of the flavor is as well. So if you're someone who can handle more heat, leaving the seeds in will get you more flavor. But I know that's not going to work for me. So I'm going to Rinse that off real quick, get rid of all those seeds. And this, press down and get nice, thin slices. This one is a little bit harder because this is a sad little wrinkly one, but it's all that I had left right now. And I can smell the heat, so I'm glad I'm going with just one. It's much harder to cut when they're starting to get overripe. Let's go this way. Alright, now I have my little matchsticks. I'm going to make a really fine dice. And if you have one of those fancy little choppers or food processor, you can put it in that and speed it up. But I like the process of cooking, so I like chopping everything and having it exactly how I want it instead of over processing or under processing. Okay, so that's probably about 2 tablespoons of jalapeno. Then I'm gonna rinse my hands, because we all know what happens if you give jalapenos a chance to get into your eyes or anywhere else. Then I'm going to add a good pinch of salt. About a teaspoon, and then I'm going to add one tablespoon of olive oil. Okay, now grab a spoon, give that a good mix. Okay, now I'm just going to set that to the side in my kitchen, and it's going to melt until we're ready for dinner. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to make are some corn tortillas. So I have a big jar of masa here. Now I'm going to add 2 cups to my bowl. So that's I have a 1/3 of a cup measure because that's what fits in my jar. It's 1 cup, and alright, so that's my 2 cups of masa. I'm gonna add a nice pinch of salt. And some warm water. I'm going to mix this together. It instantly smells amazing. And you'll see at first it seemed really soupy, but now it's mixing in well. So this isn't a dough that you want to make and then let sit around. It will dry out very quickly. So you do want to go ahead. You want to be ready to make them when you mix it. Okay, so that's well mixed. Now we'll shift over to the next part. Okay, so we're going to make some corn tortillas. I have my masa rolled into about 15 balls. And I've taken my tortilla press and lined it with a plastic baggie. And then I placed the ball in the center and pressed it down. And I've got my kamal heating on the stove here. We're going to give this 40 seconds. And then we'll flip it. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one. So I place my ball in the center. Let the press fall down. You're not looking to exert a lot of pressure on this until you have the size and thickness that you want. And that's what I'm looking for. Okay. Now we're gonna see if we can flip this guy over. We're going to go ahead and stick the second one on as well and get it going. You heard that little sizzle there. Make sure the ball's in the middle of my plastic baggie and in the middle of my press. Pull this over and let the press do most of the work. See how we're looking? Looks right. Now I'm going to give all these guys a flip. Starting to smell like corn in here. We'll get this third one going. The baggie got a little folded. Made it a little bit harder. Alright. And that one wants to go that way, so we'll let it. We'll add this one, which got kind of messed up. It's okay. As it warms up, it'll be alright. Alright, I'm going to give them another flip. You can see this one over here starting to puff up. So we're going to give it a flip. And it only needs about 15 more seconds. It's kind of a fun game to play while it's spinning there. Alright, and get our next ball in place. Let it do its thing. Check on these guys. Come here. So you can feel as they're getting warmer and as they're drying out, they'll change texture. this one we're gonna call done. Ooh, that was hot. And we're gonna add our new one. Okay. Check these guys again. Give it a flip. Starting to see some better color. Alright, I get to working on the next one. The plastic keeps getting turned the wrong way. Alright, so we'll add this ball of masa right in the center. Fold this over. And press. That's what we're looking for. Let's see if anybody's ready to come off. Alright, this one's starting to puff up. So we'll let this one come on off and join its friends. And we'll add this new one to our pan. Okay. And I'm just going to keep on. Show you really quickly. You want them to puff up like this. That way you're cooking the inside as well as the outside. And this is a lot easier if you're not holding the camera while you're trying to do it, so that you can flip it and see you get that nice beautiful color on it. You can see how we're puffing up again. These are in different stages. This is one I just put on. This is one that's puffed up. So now I'm going to flip it. Once it starts puffing like that, you want to flip it and give it 15 more seconds. Like I said, this is much easier to do if you have two hands, but look, see? Beautiful crispy color. And when you're flattening these, you can also do it with a rolling pin. And you're looking for about 1/8 of an inch thick. Is what you're going for. You don't want super thin, because they're going to be a pain and they're not going to hold up.